have a slide for chapter 1 because it really is pretty basic. It's just setting the stage for this real estate industry. It talks about the importance of this industry of real estate, and then it talks about kind of the nature of it in that it's more of an entrepreneurial type industry. And so there's two main topics discussed, is the cycle of this industry and then free enterprise, which is what makes, in my opinion, one of the many things that makes America so great, is that anybody can come to this country and be anybody they want to be and succeed at whatever industry or field that they choose to go down. So if I open up the book to page 7, you'll see at the bottom the discussion of free enterprise and this open market system that we have here. So with this open market system, I have a short video here for you. I try to mix YouTube videos or other videos in with this as we go. So some days I found a lot that work with the teaching. Some days there's just not so much. So the next page, page 8, figure 1.1, shows the ownership cycle in real estate. And this isn't how it works for everybody, but on average, a person starts out renting. You'll see that on the top left. And then from there, they transition into their first home. From there, they maybe move up to a larger house. They grow their family, or their income increases. And then from there, you'll see below that, they might buy a second home. They have some investment property, whether it's commercial, residential, maybe a vacation house in Aspen. And then from there, the older they get, they begin to downsize. They become empty nesters. Kids move out. They realize that it's just too much house to clean. And they move into a smaller house. That works out for a few years, and then eventually back into that renting phase, or maybe assisted living or some kind of apartment type setup. So that's the example of the ownership cycle. If you would continue on that page, it talks about the business cycles, and it really clues us into the importance of this industry and how many different types of professions are impacted. I mean, if you remember back a few years ago into the early and mid 2000s, we had a pretty large housing boom in America. And in some of the larger states across the nation, particularly the East and West Coast, eventually there was a crash, or the bubble popped. And we weren't affected as much here in the Midwest. In fact, most of our housing prices, even through that, they didn't necessarily shrink back. There wasn't much of an adjustment that needed to be made. We more or less just kind of plateaued out. We kind of flatlined for about 1.5 to 2 years. And then home prices began to pick up and the markets began to recover. But if you look at those business cycles on page 8 and look at the different people that make a living off real estate, you'll see industries listed, or even the ones that I'll give to you, are ones like title companies, people that work for title companies, people in the mortgage industry. We have builders that are impacted by this real estate industry. And there's subcontractors. We have electricians and plumbers that are impacted by this. We also can move further out and look at companies that supply, like Lowe's and Menards, lumber companies. They're going to be impacted by this business that we call real estate. So those are the types of professions, again, that are impacted by real estate. So we're getting into an industry that really encompasses a lot, or impacts a lot of different professions.